about fell off. It has been a long time, a very long time. Welcome back to the channel. This year has been absolutely, I wouldn't say hectic, but been very, very busy. There has been a lot of stuff that I've done, that I've wanted to do, and some of the stuff that I know that I won't get to in the foreseeable future. That'll be pushed off to later. But I kind of wanted to tell you the story of what happened to the CRV that I had, my last video. We put the timing belt on and got it back in time, and it ran really good. It was a good run little CRV. And I think about right before I got done with the car, my buddy Mason messaged me and said, you know, hey, do you think you want to trade that for anything? And I was like, sure, you know, what you got? And he said, well, I've got this Jeep Cherokee XJ, and I had seen that Jeep for a few years, and I knew what condition it was in. It's a very nice Jeep. And I was like, well, I don't really need it, but sure, you know, because I knew that the CRV was just a flip car or a sell car, you know. I said, sure, you know. He wanted to get it for his wife, and he brought me the Jeep, and I traded him for the CRV. And the Jeep wasn't really, I'm not really a Jeep guy, even though, you know, one of the biggest builds that I'm probably ever going to do on this channel is the Comanche. But deep down, I'm just not really a Jeep guy. You know, like Jeeps as themselves, they look good. The XJ especially, it's a very, very nice looking vehicle, but it's just not my thing. So I took it on trade. I did a few things to it. I cleaned it up and then posted it. I ended up finding a 1986 Mustang GT that, a little bit of backstory on that. My first car was a 1986 GT 5-liter 5-speed car, and I absolutely loved that car. It's one of the things that I guess got me into, I wasn't really a Ford fan, but I was definitely a Mustang fan from that point on. And absolutely love that car. But as young teenagers are, they break them a lot, and my mom was basically footing the bill for all of it. She bought me the car, and then she was paying to have it repaired all the time because I was out being stupid in it. So when I started college, this is not super far away, but it was enough, you know, to need a more reliable and gas-saving car. And ironically, I absolutely hated the car I got after that, which was a 2002 Honda Civic. I absolutely hated that car when I got it. Automatic, I thought that, you know, learning manual, you know, and all that stuff, I was just like going from a V8 manual to a 4-cylinder automatic. I was just devastated. I hated that car. But that car is actually what got me into Hondas after that. After meeting some people in college that mess with Hondas and stuff, I was like, sure, let's go that route. Well, years later, I tried to find my old Mustang, and I ended up finding it on Craigslist for like $2,800. And I was working at O'Reilly's at the time. I really wasn't making a whole lot of money, but I had a little bit. A buddy of mine and me went and looked at it, and the car was in terrible shape. The car was really, really clean for an 86. We paid $3,500 for that car when I was 15, and that was probably 2007, 2008-ish. And this thing was so nice. And when I say that car would be a $10,000, $11,000 car now. I think that car had 140,000 miles on it, if it was, you know, original miles, which I believed it was because that car was super nice. The interior was super, super mint. Easily a 10K car now. So a buddy of me went and looked at the car, and it was in just terrible shape. wouldn't stay running. I didn't know enough about cars at that point. I was right out of college, and I had to let it go. Like I couldn't buy the car again and then immediately have to work on it. So I let it go, and then I regretted it. So I tried like crazy to find another one. Years later, I was just kind of looking around trying to find another one, but it had to be an 86. It had to be 5-speed. It had to be a hatchback, and it had to be a GT, you know. So trying to find it, couldn't find it. 2 years in, you know, I ended up buying the Camaro because I couldn't find the car. The shells of these cars were going for what running LS cars were going for. So I just let that dream kind of go on the back burner, and then I saw a 1986 GT running and driving car, black, 5-speed, but it was in South Carolina, and I live in Alabama, so that was obviously going to be an issue. And after some back and forth, we came to an agreement, and he trailered the car all the way to my driveway. It was what I expected. You know, he was very forthcoming with all the information and telling me what was wrong with it and all that stuff. Thankfully, the only rust that this car has on it is surface rust, but it unfortunately it's seen better days. You know, I ran a VIN status on this thing and ended up finding out that it spent a lot of its life in California. And there was a guy there that worked on the Edwards Air Force Base. And the reason I know that, and the reason I actually ended up running the VIN number on this car to figure out where all it had been, is that it still has the original decal and like parking sticker from when he was stationed at Edwards Air Force Base. Black obviously does not do well in the heat. I mean, this is an 80s car. They didn't paint it very well at all, you know. Paint's obviously crap. I think we're probably just going to do like a clear coat, you know, over it. We're going to scuff it up and then clear it and make everything else nice. So I lowered the car. It already had some wheels on it. I put some suspension and, you know, stuff. The brakes need to be done. I put Holley Terminator X on the car, and I drove it, and it was equally as good as it was bad. It was like that nostalgia feeling of being back in the 1980s, you know, Foxbody Mustang, but it was just way worse than I was expecting as far as like the driving experience. Like the underneath of this car, like the suspension and the brakes, they're just not good. You know, I put coilovers on it, but I didn't do anything to the bushings at all. So all of that is going to have to come apart, and it's all going to have to be redone. I started thinking about engine options, because obviously this 302 first year fuel injection, which is one thing that I absolutely had to have. I was, you know, the harness had kind of, it was pretty bad. The engine harness was pretty bad in the car. So that's why I went with Holley Terminator X. And I put it in the car, got rid of the factory ECU, you know, it's all aftermarket now. And once I got that done, it just wasn't what I was expecting. I was hoping that was going to fix a lot of my issues with the running of the vehicle, but it didn't. So after some digging around and a little bit further diagnosis, Gibbs and I kind of agreed that the timing chain is most likely the issue, because with a timing light and 2 or 3 different distributors, the crank walks a lot. You know, it walks back and forth, and it's always like trying to hunt a certain timing. So my first thought was, well, we'll pull the front end apart and I'll put a cam in it. So I ordered an Anderson N41 camshaft and trick full of lifters and push rods and all the good stuff. When I did a little research on the 86 that I didn't know previously, is that they had flat top pistons. So most of the time, if you're going to put any sort of camshaft in an 86 302, that you either have to swap pistons or cut valve reliefs into the pistons. So I said, okay, then we'll look for a newer model roller 5.0. So I found this, and it's already been taken apart, obviously. I found this one, 1991 302 motor, and I took it apart, and as soon as I got in here, one of the timing cover bolts in the block just broke a piece off the block. So then I just threw my hands up, and I was like, okay. After breaking bolts off in the cylinder heads, I just threw my hands up, and I was like, okay, we're just gonna go away from the 302. I'm just gonna put LS in this thing. Well, once you start researching that, you will quickly find that the cheapest way to do an LS swap on one of these cars is to put an automatic behind it. And I refuse. I absolutely flat out refuse to do that. So it's gotta stay manual. And to do that, you're spending a good chunk of change, is all I can really say. I have the CD009 for the Jeep, you know, from the J series that's over there. And I was, you know, putting those together for the Jeep, but I thought, well, the CD009 is still relatively cheap, so why don't I just use that? And then after more research, it was more work than I really wanted to do to this car. I don't want to cut it up, and I don't want it to be cobbled together. So I was like, well, what about a T56? You can do that, but they say that evidently you have to swap input shafts from, like, you get a LT1 T56 because they're cheaper. I guess you have to swap input shafts to get everything made up, something like that. It's a lot of stuff that I would have learned the hard way along, you know, going along with this, but I just kind of did away with that idea too. I was like, screw it. I'll take the 86 block out. I'll put these pistons and rods in it and run my cam and just freshen everything up. K-member, you know, new mounts, because currently the engine is basically sitting on the steering shaft and the header on the passenger side. And I didn't find that out until I went to put the BBK shorties on this thing. Surprisingly, the driver's side was fine, but the passenger side was not. So I went to put the passenger side on and I was hitting the frame, and I was like, well, that's interesting. What's wrong here? And I looked down there and the mount is like this, where it should be like this. It's like this. So I lifted the car up, put the manifold on it, and shoved a socket in between the rubber and the metal to get some height out of it. And that's not a long-term solution, obviously. And if you say, hey, why didn't you just change mounts? Well, that's also why I'm doing the cross member, or the K member, because the bolt broke off the weld where it's set into the mount where the rubber goes over it, and then that stud goes through the K member to get bolted on the other side. Well, when I went to loosen that nut, the whole thing was spinning, so it just broke the weld inside the mount. So I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna pull it out, do a K member, and refresh everything and get this thing right. If you've been watching this channel at all, I run through cars like crazy. This was always a car, you know, like the F-Body, like my Z28, which I sold to Gibbs. I ended up selling that car to Gibbs. The Foxbody, the 86, was like the car that I really wanted to get back. You know, that was the car. That's what I really wanted. My brothers owned F-Bodies, and I always really liked those cars. But then I got mine, and then I really didn't want to do anything to it. I was like, well, my heart's just not in it enough to take it apart and fix the trans and, you know, fix the rear end that needed to be fixed and, you know, a few odds and ends. And Gibbs ended up doing all of that. So I'm sure at some point we'll see that car on the channel again. But it's a much, much nicer car just by, you know, sending it to someone that actually really cares about it more than I do. And this car, you know, the Mustang, I'm willing to go through hell and high water for. You know, I wasn't willing to do that for the Z28, but this car, I am willing to do whatever needs to be done to be able to enjoy an 86 Mustang again. After I got the car, I put the Euro R Accord Recaros that I had in it. I got some custom pieces. There was a guy that I saw on one of the Foxbody pages on Facebook that was making adapters for like your Holly and maybe Haltech, like screen mounts, you know, and they go where the factory ashtray would sit in the center console, and it went over, and not only did it have the screen mount in it, but it also had a cup holder in it, and it was all 3D printed. So I got that, and I've, you know, been going around and kind of, you know, getting pieces off of LMR and stuff, which if you own a Foxbody, you know what a godsend LMR is. Honestly, I guess if you own any late model Ford, really, they're just an awesome website. You can get so much stuff off of that site. Like, I have bought so many just weird little small panels here and there, and, you know, pieces of the interior that were missing, fasteners, all sorts of stuff. The side trim, you know, down the side of the car, that emblems, all sorts of stuff. I just really wanted to get a video out. You know, I haven't shot since, I think, right after the Dragon last year. I lost a big interest in cars, like, in general, there for a little bit. Like, I got rid of my Integro, the car I literally started the channel on. I got rid of it. My friend Daniel ended up buying it, and then I thought I was gonna K-swap an EF hatch, and then I just got uninterested in it. Like, I'm kind of transitioning, not really because I want to, but mainly because I don't have the budget for it. Like, I don't have the budget to build a Honda with what people are wanting, you know, price-wise for these parts. I mean, you're talking, like, I've got a K24 that my buddy Daniel gave me, and then I bought a messed up Z3 transmission for cheap, and, you know, took it apart and figured out what was wrong with it. But these people are wanting $2,000 for an engine, and 15, 16, 17, you know, for a transmission. And then you've got $2,000 worth of Honda, and then you've got $800 to $1,000 in a harness. Like, you know, Hasport's pretty much the only company that makes, you know, mounts that are like, they have them usually in stock, or at least they did, you know, that you could order and then they'd ship them to you. But that's another $700. Like, it racks up so quick. You have a $10,000, you have $10,000 in a swapped Honda, and you haven't even touched the body yet. You know, you haven't done anything to it. You haven't bought wheels. You haven't literally done anything. And then, aside from that, you try to find any even remotely decent shell that's not beat up, that wasn't mistreated, you know, that's still even maybe somewhat original, not all, you know, busted to pieces. You know, that's a $5,000 to $8,000 car now before you even started the swap. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, you're gonna end up $20,000 into a Honda. I mean, when I bought the parts for the Integra, you know, I got the shell for cheap, that Del Sol, and then a buddy of mine decided, he was like, well, you know, if you want the Integra, I'll trade the Integra for the Del Sol, you know, because I like Del Sols. I was like, okay, so we went and got the GSR. But I bought almost an entire swap kit. Like, he had already bought everything, minus like a shifter. The parts were substantially cheaper than, you know, as bulk, you know, buying them from him, than they were itemizing everything and buying them all separately. So I ended up getting a very good deal on that. And with the wheels, with you know, the T37s, with the tires I had on it, the AC kit, I put AC back on it, with all of that stuff, and having it painted, you know, body worked and painted, I think I had a little over 10 in that car. And that's just something that I'll probably never be able to do again, because the parts are just so insane that it doesn't make sense. You know, I was looking at building the hatchback, and with a free engine, a $300 transmission, $300 in the shell, and then $600 worth of mounts, I'm already over $1,000, and I haven't even touched anything. Like, and that's one piece. I haven't bought axles. I haven't bought anything else. So it just is making less and less sense. And I know that that's a big rant, but that's kind of the reason why now literally I don't have any Hondas. I don't have a single Honda that's running right now, that's, you know, swapped or any of that stuff. I still have the GMC Sierra. I still have that one, the white crew cab truck. Gibbs and I went and bought a 97 S10, like his brown truck. It's also brown. It's literally like an RPO code off. It's a 4.3 manual extend cab truck. We've already lowered it. And that truck probably won't be on the channel, because I don't plan on messing with it too much. You know, we did a 4.4 drop on it, and yeah, it'll probably get some wheels, but other than that, it's pretty much exactly what I wanted. I just went ahead and bought, you know, what I wanted. It was extremely affordable, because those trucks are also very expensive right now. So I'm kind of trying to get what I can, you know, when I can get it, because after the Integra, and after spending so much time on that, and, you know, I sold it for a decent price, but it was still, you know, everybody was telling me, man, you could have gotten 15 out of that car. And I was like, it's not worth that to me. It's a 2000 model Honda. It doesn't make sense. These people, I mean, you look at a GSR Integra on Facebook, and these people want 10 grand for it. And it's already been messed with. You know, it probably has some old Avid ones on it, and, you know, some stretch tires or something, and they've slammed it to the ground. And, you know, the quarters are all messed up in it. They're wavy. Quarter glass is flaring out of them, and they want $10,000 for these cars. And it's stock. It's a 200,000 mile GSR that is for sure going to be a mosquito killer, because they all are. So with all of that, that's just kind of setting you up for what we're transitioning to, because even though I've done some stuff to the Mustang already, this is definitely going to be, this is the car I kind of wanted to kick the channel back up on. And initially when I bought it, I thought it would take a little bit less to get it roadworthy, and now we're literally about to put an engine together. So if we're gonna do that, then I might as well put this car on the channel and kick the channel back off for 2026. You know, all the people that have reached out, you know, to the people that have commented on my videos, even though I've taken a long time off, and, you know, it's kind of died off a little bit, but you know, people have been asking me about the Jeep, and I still have it, and it's still 100% the plan. It's just I can't do it right now. I thought my eyes were a little bit bigger than my wallet, so I'm not going to be able to do that truck yet. That's probably going to be a few years removed even from now, you know, before I can really start on that truck again. I have a few more cars that I really want to get, but for now we're going to focus on the Mustang. I want to get it running. I really want to take this car everywhere. I love these cars so much. These things, I wanted one ever since I got rid of my old one, and being finally able to get another one for a decent price, and it wasn't the typical Foxbody tax now. You know, these cars are in the low 20s now if they're really nice. Obviously this car is not a super nice example, but I mean, it was still, I mean, I paid $5,000 for this car, and going into it, getting the car was the hard part. Getting the car that already had what I needed it to have was the hard part.
What are you doing, doggy?
Thank you for reaching out, and all the people who've been really supportive, and everybody's been like, hey, you really need to get back at the channel, you really need to start that thing up again. And I'm like, I know, you know, it's just the time and being burnout. You know, anyone who's a technician that does this type of stuff for a living, they can tell you that it's hard enough getting them to work on their own car, but then when you add the extra step of filming, working on your own car, and editing, you know, you're like 5 different titles all at once. You know, you're a videographer, you're an editor, you're a YouTuber, you know, you're an audio specialist. If you've got good mics, you know, you're a mechanic and a technician, all wrapped into one. This is a few days after Christmas, so Merry Christmas to everyone, and I hope that you have a very good New Year, and I hope that 2026 is a lot better than the past 5 years have really been to a lot of us, because it's been a rough road. You know, there was life before 2020, and then there's life after, and I know that a ton of people are struggling, especially if you have an addiction to vehicles like I do, because you're slowly watching all of your dream cars go up too high in price to where it's not even attainable anymore. And even if it is, you know, even if it is attainable for you, there is obviously some like resignation from that, because you just can't justify paying 20-30 grand for an 80s car that you know that you're going to have to work on. I mean, it's an 80s car, you're obviously going to have to. You know, so there's a lot of parts are going to be hard to find. Some of the more, you know, choice pieces that nobody's, you know, replicating. OE parts obviously are unobtainium. I hope that 2026 is a lot better year for all of us, and maybe we'll see some of these prices come down, and if they do, then, you know, obviously we'll probably go back into a Honda. But for now, you know, it makes more sense to buy a Honda than it is to build it. It just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense to build one if you got pockets deep enough. And you know, I like building cars probably more than I like driving them. So anyway, I know that was a lot of rambling, and I apologize for that. I just want to say thank you so much for watching, if you did, if you made it this far, and hopefully you'll see me soon, you know, next time you look at me. Bye.
adjust that.